We'll start on the left-hand side of the door at the bottom, and we'll put a generous bead of paste into the joint, working slowly to ensure that we keep that joint of paste full to facilitate its removal later. We're going to work to the height that we designated, in this instance, about 18 inches. Once we've filled that joint, we take a gap filler tool and we press that paste into the joint to ensure that we've given every possible impediment to water entering our building. Next, we're going to move to our second joint, work in the same manner vertically, including fully encapsulating any door hardware, including hinges. So we'll work on both sides of that hinge to fill that joint and continue on with our gap filler tool. We move on to our next vertical joint, which is around our glazing. And in this instance, we must do both the joint between the white plastic glazing and the joint between the glass and the white plastic glazing, because water will find its way into that joint, and we do not want to take any chances. It's also important that we fill the aluminum joints because those can leak when immersed in water. So we're not taking any chances. We're going to fill every single joint on this door. And if it looks like a lot of paste, it is, but ironically, that will peel easier when it's time to remove the product. So now we're going to come back and do the base of the door, which is just as important as the vertical joints. We have to fill the entire joint at the threshold, both above and below the threshold, to ensure we get no water intrusion. Once we complete this joint at the threshold and we're satisfied that we have completely filled that joint, we'll come back with our gap filler tool and press the paste as deeply as we can into that joint that we've just covered. Before we begin working on this T-astragal, it's a good time to note that it's a good practice to always have a few paper towels around, because the process is inherently messy and you don't want to get paste anywhere it doesn't belong. And it's also worth noting that we're on our third cartridge for this door. Now, it's a very heavy application and it is a French door, but you should anticipate that it's better to use more paste than less because it'll peel better, and it might be a good idea in the instance where you have glazing and a lot of work to actually use the 28-ounce cartridge instead of the 9-ounce cartridge. So let's do this astragal. After waiting an hour, we're now ready to top coat our flood protection paste with our flood protection liquid for an improved seal. We've put down a drop cloth to protect surrounding surfaces, and now we'll cover all the paste and a bit more for protection. This is not finish painting. This is covering the paste for flood protection. So we use a liberal cover, being sure that we've gotten all the paste and a bit more of the surface. By top coating, we improve the performance of the paste without making it any more difficult to remove later. So we're going to continue to coat every surface where we applied Flex Flood paste to this door, being careful to cover all the areas of the paste, and that is a finished project.
As you can see, not a drop of water breached the SECUR flood protection system. Today we'll be removing our Flex Flood protection products from this door assembly where we did a wet test. You can barely see the water line here, the scum line where the test result was. We'll begin with peeling this bead or rope of caulk from the end. We're going to peel down, and we'll eventually have to peel around that hinge. So now we'll peel that entire joint, comes off around the hinge and peels very cleanly, leaving a small amount of residue that we'll take off with a plastic scraper as necessary. As we go to the next glazing that we have to remove from, we have slightly more residue to remove, but in comparison to a flood in your home, it's a relatively trivial problem. So as we're removing the flood protection paste and liquid from this door, let's remember that what we're striving to achieve is complete and total water stoppage from any water getting into your home. So the small degree of effort we make here is really minimal in comparison to the potential savings when we know that 1 inch of water in your home, on average, is going to cost $25,000 in repairs. As we move to this center astragal, we're going to need to switch to a plastic scraper. We don't want to use a razor blade because that could leave marks on painted surfaces. And it does take time and effort to remove paste from some surfaces, depending on thickness, depending on the condition of the paint beneath. However, remember, what we're trying to avoid is any water intrusion into your house. So as we work our way around the door, our next point to peel will be adjacent to this glass on the right-hand door panel. We're going to start with our pick to loosen the Flex Seal paste. We'll take a metal razor blade holder and carefully, keeping the blade flat to the glass, loosen the Flex paste from the glass where it does not peel readily by itself, being careful to not scratch the glass. And this is going to peel very nicely now. And any small degree of residue remaining will come off readily off the glass and off the painted surfaces using the metal scraper on glass or the plastic scraper on the painted surfaces to avoid marks. We're next going to move to the base of the door in the threshold. Starting in the corner, peeling back, coming off cleanly from the door and very well from the flagstone beneath the door. What we have here is a great sample of what success looks like in low-level flood protection. Occasionally, we'll hear from customers that they have difficulty removing Flex Seal's flood protection paste and liquid from porous surfaces. We're going to demonstrate now how that's done using denatured alcohol and a nylon brush. It's really very straightforward. We'll spray the area with denatured alcohol, and after allowing it to soak for a moment or two, we can use a nylon brush, and as you'll see, any residue remaining from Flex Seal's paste and liquid comes right off. We've been able to remove Flex Seal's paste even off a porous flagstone. There's a clean finish. I hope you found this video helpful. If you still have questions about the SECUR flood protection system, we have many resources available. You can visit our website or give us a call and speak to a flood protection specialist. Thanks.